Hey there, everyone, and welcome to this week's Friday Facts number 375 Quality. I'm Exterminator, and thank you for joining me for this one. I hope you had a great week. I am really excited about this. Oh man, so last week we kind of missed out on the new stuff for the expansion. Now I'm not putting down last week's. I love the bot stuff. That type of performance increases are amazing. This week, though, it is all about new things. Now, the title may not sound very exciting, but man, is this exciting content. So, we start off here. It's written by Kovrex. This is a huge feature. A nice paraphrase quote from Neo in the Matrix. I'm not going to read the whole, really read it, but I did read it when going through this first time. I liked it a lot. So, horizontal versus vertical growth. So, there's two types of growth basically. In the game, horizontal growth is just kind of, like expanding outward, like more things for more production, right? So like more mining outposts, more production facilities, etc. Whereas vertical growth is just increasing the efficiency of what you already have. So this would be like putting speed modules in stuff, prod modules and stuff, beaconing things, things like that, better belts, so that's vertical growth. In the mid game, you basically have to balance the vertical and horizontal growth, which is fun because you need to strategize more. So in the end game, you mainly scale horizontally, and it's enjoyable, because you won't be changing designs much, so you can attempt like a final version and then scale that up. But they always wanted to extend this part of the game where you have to balance the vertical and horizontal growth, and quality seems like a nice general solution to that. So what is quality? So this is going to sound really weird at first. It kind of took it a little bit to sink in for me because this is kind of very much like what you would find in some sort of like RPG game or like Diablo or something where there's like higher qualities of things. I mean, that's basically what this is for Factorio. But they do it in a good way. I like how they do it. When I first read this, I was like, but now I like it a lot. So every item, entity, and equipment has 5 possible qualities now. Each quality tier gives an improved bonus value used for most stuff. So we have normal, which is just the base, basically. Then you have uncommon here. You have rare, which is so 30%, 60%, epic is 90%, and legendary is 150%. So this is a huge increase. And we can see some examples here. So we have assembling machine 3, rare, and I like that they actually indicate it here. And then we have like a legendary solar panel, we have an uncommon turret, and an epic Roboport Mark II. So if we actually look at the stats here, so crafting speed 2. So this is pretty good because an assembler 3 normally has a crafting speed of 1.25, I believe. So you can see that's increased quite a bit, and you can see the little icon. Solar panels, I don't remember what their base value is exactly, but I feel like it's more than this, for sure. And then gun turret. So the gun turret, it explains down below like what the effects actually do. But basically gun turret gets like more damage. And the Roboport Mark II, I see robot limits definitely increased, almost double what it was. And the construction range, I believe, is increased maybe. But we'll get down into that here. So all higher quality entities have more health. But apart from that, they get unique bonuses based on their type. I wonder if there's going to be higher quality walls. They don't mention that specifically because those could have more health, which would be nice. But basically, so here we go. We'll just do a rundown. I will actually read each one of these because this is pretty interesting. Electric power poles have larger supply area and wire reach, plus 1 tile per quality level. So you would have, quite a bit here. And then modules have improved primary bonuses, which makes sense. Spidertrons and armor have larger equipment grids, which is super cool. This is one of my favorites. 1 in each direction for each extra level. Like, that's huge. So if you just have the base level, and then basically you can get a grid that is 4x4 larger. That's pretty massive. Spidertrons have a bigger inventory, and armors give a higher inventory size bonus, which I also really like. Equipment is generally better in what it does. Gun turrets have more damage and range. Ammo does more damage. Inserters move faster. So this is going to get really interesting because this is going to have to do, it's just going to totally shake up the whole thing with builds and blueprints, because if you're like designing a mega base, you basically need to design it based around the higher level quality if you plan to use that, because if you design it around, say, rare quality that you have at the time you're designing, if you upgrade to legendary stuff, it's going to throw off all your ratios, all your stuff, because machines will be faster, inserters will be faster. I mean, inserters being faster wouldn't really hurt anything, but this is going to be huge. So mining drills deplete resources slower. So this is going to be really interesting how this one stacks with mining productivity, right? Because I wonder if they're going to change mining prod, because mining prod basically, I mean, it doesn't technically make it deplete slower, like, but it kind of does, because it just multiplies the amount of resources the amount of output you get from the same patch, if that makes sense. So having high tier, like, legendary miners and a high mining productivity, I mean, it's going to be crazy. Assembly machines and furnaces in labs are faster. Worker robots have larger battery capacity, which is fantastic. Roboports charge robots faster. Solar panels produce more energy. Accumulators have better capacity. All nuclear stuff has increased production. Beacons have lower power consumption. Radars have larger reveal areas. Repair packs have more durability. They say there are a few entities which don't have any bonus apart from health, which is belts, pipes, rails, chests, common. Oh, so they do say walls. I read over that before. And lamps, which makes sense. I feel like walls could, actually. I'm actually a little surprised that they didn't do walls, because walls would be super simple. You could just make their health higher, which would be pretty good, in my opinion. But this stuff is huge. Like, there's just so many things that I love about this. It gives you more choices, more options. It's not just like, boom, assembly level 3s and beacons, you're done. There's a lot to this. And then what this is screaming to me too, at least as a mega baser, is you can do so much more with the game performance you have. Like, if you consider, without using mods, you can do that with mods now, but without using mods, if all of your nuclear power just, if you just get legendary, all of it, you're producing more power for the amount of entities you're placing, which is better for game performance. If your assemblers are faster, that's better. If your robots, charge faster and have better battery capacity, you can maybe have less robots, so on and so forth. Like, this is just super cool. When these bonuses are combined, things get pretty wild pretty quickly. So 4 legendary productivity modules in an assembling machine, 3 gives plus 100% productivity bonus. It was 40% before. This is for 4, right? Because normally they would give 10%. Also, I wonder if they're going to change how this works for rockets, because if you put these in a rocket silo, you're basically getting a rocket for half cost, right? Because right now it's obviously really good to put prod modules in a rocket silo, because you're getting 40% productivity on all the rocket parts made, or like the actual rocket being built, which means less parts. So with 40% productivity now in a rocket silo, I believe you need like 714 or 715 of the like intermediate stuff. So like the low density structures, the rocket control units, and the rocket fuel. So if this is 100, if you can get 100% productivity in your rocket silo, that's going to be crazy. Since this multiplies in multi-step production chains, overall factory productivity gets quite a big boost. So yeah, if you just factor this through like everything, if you just have max legendary prod modules and everything that can take a prod module, it's going to be just like through the roof, honestly. But these are not cheap. We'll get into that a little bit later. So high quality Spytrons and armors with higher quality equipment get pretty powerful, which is true. With the fast machines, modules, and inserters, some of the setups can get quite extreme. So we can see here, we are making a lot of circuits. We are basically making 2 belts of circuits, 2 blue belts of circuits from 2 circuit machines. And you can see the icons here being the quality indicator. Now, it would be cool. I feel like they'll do this. I hope they do this, that maybe there's a option you can toggle to turn off the quality icon, but not the other parts, like not the arrows. Because I can see this getting kind of crazy when you have like a bunch of stuff together to have this always on, but we'll see. Either way, this is pretty wild. So how do you get the higher quality? And this is things where things get even more interesting. So they wanted to make a system for automated higher tiers of everything without the need to just multiply recipes. By just multiplying the cost of things, not super interesting. And, that there's already kind of some of the stuff in the expansion anyway that hasn't been revealed. So they didn't want to go that route. At the same time, they wanted to add some complexity and also make the related complications explicitly opt in. So what this means is that you can just completely avoid the quality thing if you want. Like, you don't have to do it. You can just avoid this because you get it with special modules, which are quality modules. So how do the quality modules work? Basically, they have a special effect which increases the probability of getting higher quality results when crafting in a machine. So for example, the most basic quality module 1, which has the same tier and availability as tier 1 modules, adds plus 1% quality increase chance. It's kind of low, but I think that's for a reason. That means that when you insert the one module into an assembly machine and let it craft, say, 1,000 gears from normal iron plates, you get 10 uncommon gear wheels on average. But when you insert more modules and increase your interior quality, yes, there are quality modules. This probably sharply increases. And you can see some examples here. We have all... so it just scales up, basically. So all level 1s in here, basically mostly normal iron gears. You can see a little like one there that's higher quality. This one has level 2s in it. And then you can see some here. This one has level 3s, getting a decent amount. And then this has level 3 legendary quality modules, which, so this is going to get kind of wonky with all of the things. But you can see it's pumping out higher quality stuff pretty quick of all different, variants too, like some normal, like some green, some blue. I don't remember what... It's going to take me a while to remember what colors associate with the actual quality, but that's kind of how that works. So this was all about increasing quality, but an important part of the mechanic is that the quality of the ingredients is the base for the quality of the product. So getting higher quality intermediates is valuable too. So like the way I understand this is if you want to make, say, like legendary inserters or something, that you would then need legendary gears and circuits and iron, I think, is how I'm understanding this. I'm having a little bit of a difficulty understanding this, but I think that's what that means. On top of that, the quality increases can be not only one level at a time, but you can get lucky and get more steps at a time, which we saw down here. Each additional step has 10 times lower chance of happening. So for our previous examples, out of 1,000 gears, 9 would be uncommon and 1 rare. So here's some examples. So quality calculation. Example of probabilities with 4 normal quality, 3 modules. So if we're doing like inputting iron, basically we're doing gear wheels here. So all level 3 quality modules with just normal iron, you have a 10% chance to get this. Uncommon, I think this is. I apologize. It's going to take me a little while to associate the colors with the name. Okay, it's uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary, and then. So then you take this, and then you can take these and get a 10% chance to get this. And you can see the chances diminishing as we go. So yeah, basically it just, so you can get the higher level stuff. It's just insanely low percent from just base things. So then if you take like a rare iron plate quality and stick it in, you can only get epic or legendary. It doesn't downgrade. So that's good. And then, if you just want the most chance to get legendary, you just put in epic and you get a 10% chance. Quality modules can't be inserted into beacons for obvious reasons, but other than that, it is not limited. And the productivity modules are usable only in intermediates. There are plenty of places where the extra quality items might be produced without any productivity penalty. Which is, yeah, so that makes sense. It is also noticeable that they created, we created a quality penalty on speed modules because haste makes waste, and we wanted to reduce the number of places where beacons full of speed modules is the best way to go, which is fair, right? Beacons are pretty heavily used now. So here's another new feature. The last piece of the puzzle is a recycler. So, because some of you might be wondering, and I was wondering about this as I was reading this. I was like, well, what are you going to do with all the basically junk quality things you get if you just get a chance for all of them? Like, if you're trying to get legendary stuff, what the heck are you supposed to do with all this lower quality stuff? I mean, you could process it to get a better chance and over again. It sounded kind of like Bob's or Pine Nodens or something. But this kind of helps with that issue. So basically they go into this, they need a new machine, the recycler, which looks great, by the way. They say graphics are subject to change, but I actually really like this. I hope they don't change it too much. Not only does it solve one of the biggest problems in Factorio of how to get rid of all the pistols Troopin made, and also all the pistols in my inventory that my viewers give me on stream, but it also allows you to get rid of the item qualities which are no longer good enough with a chance to get something back. So specifically, for each crafted item, the recycler gives you 25% of the original ingredient back. You might wonder why only 25%, but they had to do this so that you don't get basically a positive recycling loop where you can actually get more output than you put in, because it's not a productivity machine. That's not what it's supposed to do. So that makes sense. This is also why we create an overall machine limit on productivity to be 300%, modifiable by mods if needed. So even when some mods add machines with more module slots and or better productivity modules, will always be prevented from getting broken accidentally, which makes sense. So what is the actual cost? With the recycler in mind, we can produce legendary items in quite a simple way. We just create assembly machines filled with quality modules for each quality of ingredients and recycle everything that's not perfect until you get the quality you want. So in this example, we are taking, we're basically just creating a loop of circuit production. So up here at the top, we have a thing doing basically the uncommon, making uncommon circuits. They all have like the max level quality modules. And then down here we have rare, epic, legendary, right? So is making these, is making those, is making those, and then they go into more detail. So this build takes electronic circuits and recycles them. The normal ingredients are returned back to the main factory. So you can see all the stuff of the lower qualities we don't want or that are just base quality are sent to the recyclers to then get the stuff back, and then you can recycle it. Now obviously, so you technically can just create a loop with this, although I think, yeah, I guess you could create a loop with this. I feel like it would run out of ingredients eventually, but maybe not. But yeah, so they're just basically recycling everything. You can see the you know, got to do some like filter splitter stuff here because we are getting different qualities of the intermediates back. So you have to send them to the right thing. Otherwise, you know, it's going to get clogged up. Like you can't send like a legendary copper cable to like the rare circuit machine, basically. So you got to filter it out, but overall it's pretty straightforward. So you're taking those, and then with anything better than rare being stored in chests. So you can see basically rare and up is just being stored in chests here. And that actually, I'm now realizing there's actually a surprising amount of rare and epic intermediates coming out of these, because you're only sending in uncommon and just common base level stuff, and we're actually getting, if you'll notice, we're getting quite a bit of epic and like rare stuff out, and that's because of the super high quality modules in the recyclers. So you can kind of see how this can scale up and get pretty crazy. With a straightforward approach, if you want to produce items of legendary quality and you already have enough legendary quality 3 modules, which is not an easy thing to get in the first place, the legendary items are 56 times more expensive than normal items. So like, they're really powerful, but they're not cheap. Like, this is a pretty huge multiplier on cost compared to normal items. But obviously, since items have a chain of steps to produce them, every step has the potential to increase the quality of the intermediate products. With different approaches and possibly different machines or other ways to improve the productivity of the process. Teases some future Friday Facts content. Good to know. The cost can be brought lower, but it will always be pretty expensive to get the best stuff, which makes sense. I feel like balancing for this is probably pretty tricky for them to do. It sounds like they go into it. They did quite a few playthroughs of this, and I think they got it pretty well figured out. So unlocking quality tiers. Not all the quality tiers will be available from the beginning. Only uncommon and rares unlocked with a quality module research, and the better ones are unlocked later. More specifically, epic is on one of the 3 earlier planets and legendary on the last planet. See, so there were people concerned, and I understand this concern for sure. There were people concerned in the initial announcement and then the last Friday Facts for the expansion. Like, there better be a reason to go to these planets, otherwise what's the point? Like, you know, it's like, woohoo, let's go to another planet. No, there are some very solid reasons at this point, and I'm sure this is not even all of them, to go to these planets. Like, if you want this top tier stuff, you got to go to the other planets, the last planet, even for legendary. So this gives a very real reason to go into space and go to the other planets. So for strategy implications, Cortex is happy with the strategy implications because they add more important decisions throughout the game. How to get some water. So you don't have the recycler soon in the game, so you can't just like recycle to get the best stuff right away. The most common way how to start with quality is just to insert some quality modules into the production of final products, which emits higher quality products as a byproduct. So this is one thing that like kind of, I don't know if confusing is the right word, but has me a little bit stumped, and I'm thinking about is, I think there's just math I'm missing on this, so please correct me on this in the comments, but like, why would you not just put quality modules in only your end products? Like, why would you bother putting them in intermediates when you can just, like, if you can just put quality modules in an inserter producing machine or in a assembler producing machine or furnace producing machine, whatever you have like that, or belts. Well, belts aren't a thing, but why? Like, wouldn't it be better just to put them in that rather than put it in the intermediates? Because I mean, this is how I understand this. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding this, but when they say is the most common, you know, that to start out with, the best way is to insert quality modules into production of final products. So why wouldn't you just always do this? Like, even later in the game, like, wouldn't it be better to just put quality modules into the final production process rather than all the intermediates you have to deal with? I feel like I'm misunderstanding something with this. So again, please correct me on this, or maybe, you know, I don't know. This just seems kind of, I'm not quite sure on this. So later, especially once you unlock recycling, it can be a huge trap to try to get too high quality of too many things too early. So the cost is really just too high, and you know, you wouldn't want like most of your factory production being dedicated to just try to get legendary of this cool thing you want. I mean, you could do that, of course, but prioritization will be important. You know, where do you, like, what do you devote resources to? What do you try to get high quality, and of what quality early on? And then basically they say, on the other hand, if someone wants to just slow run the game and enjoy having everything semi-perfect and over-prepare for moving to another planet, the possibility is certainly there. When interplanetary logistics come into play, the quality plays a big role as things change. So basically, it might be easier and more productive to make the things locally on the planet with normal quality products from the local resources rather than having to transfer it through the rockets and space platforms. But once the standard goes up and you start using high quality entities more, the relative cost of the items and rocket transport, it changes a lot and starts to be better to make each item production in one place and transport everywhere. So a thing we can compare this to, a good example of this would be like doing smelting at outposts, like in the current game. So like if you have an iron outpost and you smelt your iron plate there and then transport it to where you transport the iron plate with a train to like circuits, that's better. Like in terms of transporting wise, it's better than having basically two trains, like having an ore train take it to a smelter and then another train take plate. So you're having half the amount of trains. Or another way to look at it is something like, what would it be, like gears, I think. So like gears take 2 iron. So transporting gears is like more compressed because each gear is equal to 2 iron basically. So it's more compressed than just transporting the iron and then transporting the gears again type of deal. So that's kind of how I compare it. As it plays nicely with the space platform building part, is the space on the platform is quite limited and expensive. It is very efficient to save the best stuff you have for the platform, at least in the beginning. So in big numbers, the quality is basically statistics, but in small numbers, the random aspect can be quite fun in different ways, especially for personal arbiters and equipment. We always ended up having an assembly machine with the best quality models in the center of the factory dedicated for people trying to gamble for the best possible equipment for their personal use. The excitement of getting directly a rare power armor from common ingredients when you are super lucky is the same as getting a bar in the slot machine, or the wanted item in the pay-to-win loot box mechanics. But in Factorio, you don't have to take another mortgage on your house to enjoy the aspect of the game, which is cool. So yeah, I can see this part being pretty interesting. And yeah, I guess maybe I'm sorry, I'm thinking back to to this. Maybe I can see why you would want it in intermediates, because like if you put, so like if you have a machine making fusion reactors or whatever, or like RoboPort Mark IIs, and you put in quality modules, you know, even with the highest level quality modules, you only have, what is it, a 10% chance. Well, and that's like with the highest quality models. If you just put 4 level 1 quality models, you only have a 0.01% chance to get a legendary. Whereas if you put them in intermediates and get intermediate legendary things, you can just make the legendary fusion reactor RoboPort directly. I guess maybe that's the reason for doing intermediates. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that below. And then we are nearing the end here. Engine support and history. So quality is the most mature feature of the expansion, which is really great to hear, because I was developing its first versions internally even before the 1.0 release, which is quite surprising. I didn't actually know that. And it was kept in a separate branch the whole time. They were considering putting it in 1.0, but as you know, kind of as usual, they ran out of time, or 1.0 took longer than they expected, just like the expansion here. There are many internal changes we had to do in order to make quality integrated into the core of the game, which I kind of figured, like reading through this, it's like, man, they had to make a lot of changes for this. Just the GUI changes are a lot as well. And then, you know, so for example, you can select to only upgrade assemblers with lower than common quality, etc. This is a brief list of places that come to mind when you specify filters of quickbar inventory deconstruction planner. Yeah, because then you would need to have a filter for every single quality available. When you order things from the logistics network, when you view statistics, and circuit network signals and chat tags and assembler recipe selection, and blueprint icon selection and the upgrade planner and the editor and more. So this is actually really neat. I like this a lot here, the set request. So you can actually set requests based on quality. So if you want to be like, I don't want anything less than rare or epic quality of whatever you're requesting, you can do that, which is fantastic. So here, for example, we'll just read this. Caption logistic request allows setting either one specific quality or a quality condition. In this case, we are trashing all the assemblers with lower than rare quality. So I guess this is a trash, maybe, but I assume you can do the same with the requests, I would imagine. Requesting items must use the equals condition, as using the other quality comparisons would be ambiguous and inefficient, hence the lower number is grayed out. Oh, yeah, so that makes sense. And this is just the GUI, obviously affects many parts of the game, including modding API, which is true. It'll be really interesting to see what people do with the modding. Like, I wonder if modders could create even higher level qualities than epic, or sorry, than legendary. That would be really interesting. So there had to be a ton of complicated things done. It merges into the branch during 1.0 development, and yeah, since things were different. So once we started working on the expansion, this was the very first thing that was put there to finally escape this purgatory. This means that it is the most tested feature, both technically and also gameplay-wise. Expansion might also make it more understandable why we don't plan to backport features we already have, like from FFF 3.74 into 1.1. Yeah, so this would be a reason why they can't release some of this before 1.0 or before the expansion. This is another really important note, folks, is to make them clear the quality content is exclusively part of the expansion. So they mentioned before, it was either last week or just the announcement of Friday Facts for the expansion, that some stuff would just be like some quality of life stuff, and other things would just be put into the game, you know, whether you bought the expansion or not. It would just be an addition to the game. And then some stuff is expansion exclusive, which is this. So the non-expansion binary works the same internally. It just doesn't allow any mod to define anything other than normal quality. So if you didn't buy the expansion, you won't have this. Or if you want to turn the expansion off and just play without it, you can do that. We've made it so that quality is invisible in the game until quality models are unlocked. So you won't see anything related to quality if you haven't researched quality models or are playing the base game. And that includes all the GUIs and stuff. It's also worth noting that while it's a lot of fun to play with quality, using it is completely optional, which is nice. The expansion is balanced in a way that using quality can be beneficial, but it's reasonable to finish the game without touching any of it, which is also nice. So you don't have to do this. If you're just like, wow, this is too much, or I don't like this, you don't have to play with it. You can still just go about your go about your way playing it without it, and that's totally fine. So the conclusion is they had at least 2 full LAN playthroughs of quality even before space-related stuff was developed, and more after with a lot of individual playthroughs on top of that. Each of those helped fix related bugs and tweak the functionality based on feedback. This means that I have enough evidence to be able to confidently say that the pain was worth it, and this feature is fun to play with and works seamlessly, which is fantastic. So, Friday Facts, man, on quality, this is super cool. It's a lot to digest. I hope I made it understandable. I had to read through this like a couple times. I'm dyslexic, so reading through this with all the like quality words, over and over again, and all the tiers and stuff, I had to read through it a few times to kind of try to grasp it. But overall, I really, really like this. This just adds so many new options to the game and like ways to build and all that. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really, really curious. All the new builds that are going to develop with this, like what's, people are going to figure out like what's the best, like highest possible, chance type build of getting things. Like there's just going to be so much theory crafting and stuff. I believe with this, it's going to be really cool. And then, like I said earlier, this just means you can do so much more with the game performance you have. If you just get legendary of all these things, you're going to be able to make so much more stuff with the same amount of assemblers, and even without beacons too. Like, if you don't like beacons, I mean, you could honestly get some pretty crazy production even without beacons if you have legendary tier 3 assemblers with tier 3, legendary prod modules, or do like half prod, half speed. I mean, you can get some pretty crazy production even if you don't do beacons. You add in beacons to that, and man, you can just... I mean, I bet you the science per minute limits for like these mega bases are just gonna go way higher. I mean, I want to say double. I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea, but that's my thoughts for this. I'm not gonna ramble on anymore. I would love to hear what you guys think down below. I think this is going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to play with it. I can't wait till next week to hear more stuff. It sounds like there's just so much. Like, this is something I never would have thought of in Factorio, and this is fantastic. Like, the whole space platform, going to space, going to different planets, it's pretty expected. Like, that was, it's not bad by any means. It's awesome, but it wasn't, like, really a surprise. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, cool. We kind of knew they were doing that. And we were, people were talking like, I hope there's some other cool stuff they haven't mentioned that they may just throw at us that, is something totally new and different. And this is one of those things. I don't know about you guys, but I never would have thought of this in Factorio. And I think it's just going to play out really, really interesting and be a ton of fun. So I'm super excited for this. I'd love to hear what you guys think down below. If you did enjoy, a like is appreciated. Thank you so much for watching and bearing with me through my dyslexic reading and understanding of things. And if you're new to the channel, welcome, and feel free to subscribe to keep up with future content. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.